Welcome everyone to another episode of the 241 podcast. Yeah, we do that. 241. Hey, you want to try it? It's fun.
Wait, do what?
241.
Hold on.
241. 241. Well, you tried. He's a little slow. All right, now you're just doing gang signs. All right, well, welcome to the 241 podcast. I am Jamin
Jordany.
for Danny, and today we have our first guest of the 241 podcast. He's a friend of mine ever since I moved here to North Carolina. I didn't expect him to be a basketball fan. He didn't have that vibe, but he is one. He's very much. I mean, you have your Celtics, hoodie on, so
I do.
that kind of says a lot about him. But so yeah, his name is Jason, and welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. That's it.
That's all I had.
He's a man of few words. I get it.
Man,
I get it.
Yeah.
a
He's
man. Of few
excited to be
words.
here. I'd be nervous, so I wouldn't want to speak all that much. I'd be nervous.
Yeah, well,
It is the most watched podcast in the world.
it
It is,
is.
yeah. No, I'm insanely nervous.
We just
Like,
hit 100 million. Like monthly
shoot.
listeners, like
Take
Kendrick.
that, Kai.
Yeah, we're killing it. And there's no bots. There's no bots,
Nice.
So
Here.
in case we get sued, there's no bots involved. So UMG. All right, anyway. So Jason, before we get into today's episode, just wanted to ask, would you like to explain your brief rundown, history of basketball and especially with the Celtics, because that's your favorite team, clearly.
Yeah. Okay, so I was born and partially raised in Massachusetts. So that's where the Celtics fandom comes from. Uh, I only really watched basketball a ton until I was about like 8 years old. And there was a gap there where I didn't watch it for a few years. But I picked it back up when I was about 14 and I've been watching it since then. So my entire life, basically, I've been watching basketball. My team has been a contender. So I'm an incredibly privileged basketball fan when it
Yeah.
comes to that. Because even when the Celtics were like just okay, I just didn't watch basketball at all. So yeah, if they were bad. If they became bad all of a sudden, I probably would stop watching.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I think I'm invested enough now, but I don't know for sure because they'll probably be good for like the next 10 years.
Yes, yes, of course. They do. I mean, they've been good for a while now. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I'm unmuted. Yeah, no, so he's been I mean, they've been good for like a minute. Like I can't remember the last time they were just kind of just like mid. I guess when they were running those lineups and they were starting like Avery Bradley
Yeah.
and guys like that. That was
Like right after
before
they got rid of KG and Paul Pierce, then it was like
it
it
was
was
that
just
weird
okay for a
era.
bit.
But I
Yeah.
think they were still like making the playoffs and stuff.
Yeah, they weren't bad at all.
Yeah. So that's cool. I'm a Thunder fan, as you know, and Danny's actually I'm a Lakers fan.
Yes,
Yeah, I
So
sir.
remember I watched one episode, he had a Lakers jersey on.
yeah.
Yes, I did. Indeed.
So it should be quite interesting. Because he got Lakers and Celtics here.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna be honest, I don't buy into that rivalry all that much. I'm gonna be honest with you.
why?
I like
I don't think it's a
I don't
rivalry
know.
anymore.
Yeah, like I like the Lakers. Obviously, if they met in the finals,
Be
it's
fun.
Celtics. But like I don't care for the Lakers. Like they can win. I don't hate them or anything.
I
Yeah.
just enjoy
Not
being a
like the
hater,
Heat.
so that's why I hate the Celtics because I
Oh, it's
enjoy
easy to
being
hate
a
on the
hater.
Celtics though. Like I understand hating on the Celtics.
No,
I
they're
get
a
that.
very hateable team. I'm not gonna lie.
Because I'm incredibly privileged to be a Celtics fan because it's like because they're just good all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't like the Warriors. They were good for too long. They weren't even as good for as long as the Celtics have been good.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Celtics are built to win now and the future, just like another team. Oh wait, we're gonna talk about that. Oh, a little
Yeah.
sneak peek.
What was? Oh
A
yeah, yeah,
little
we
sneak
will.
peek. A
We will
little
talk
sneak
about
peek.
it.
Let
So yeah,
me
let's get
not.
into it. So first trade we wanted to talk about. I didn't even introduce the topic of today's episode, but in case you didn't see the title of the episode on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, um, today we'll be talking about the trade deadline. Um, I know All Star Weekend happened recently. Nothing interesting
Yeah.
happened. I mean, Mac McClung, he's a great dunker. He did a good job, but the trade deadline. I wanted to get this episode out a little bit ago, but um I originally wanted to make a Luca episode, but then I realized, well, there's probably more stuff that'll happen after. And I was right. So, you
More
know,
stuff did happen.
more stuff did happen. So, we're gonna end with the Luca trade. because that's probably the one we'll have the most to say about. But for now, we're actually going to start with the Jimmy Butler trade going from the Heat to the Warriors. All right,
Yeah.
this is the real trade. Jordan, you want to like run it down real quick?
We got over here Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors in exchange for Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, aka the NBA's favorite trade piece,
Yeah.
Kyle Anderson, and a protected first rounder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, we can let Jason, he's the guest. He can go first. He's got that privilege. So, um, so I want to start this off with where we were, like when we found out the trade, what our initial reaction was, and then now that it's kind of settled and we've even seen a couple games played, excuse me, how do you think this will affect the team, not only this year, but just in the future as well? But you can take it one at a time. So, what was your like your first reaction like when you found out about this? Because it was kind of expected,
Yeah.
like to some extent.
Yeah, I would have been shocked if he wasn't moved. I was literally just sitting downstairs and I got the tweet. I forgot who was in it. I told somebody. But it was crazy to me because like okay, he's kind of the antithesis of the Warriors, where it's like, they play fast, they shoot threes. He plays slow, he draws fouls, he doesn't shoot threes. But you could make the argument they kind of needed that, like fixing their holes instead of playing into their strengths like they always have. Because they usually just play into their strengths. But I like it for the Warriors, obviously, in terms of a win now situation. This is not a future. I mean, this is nothing.
This is
This is definitely a win now situation for them. I don't think they're gonna win now with this. I don't think it changes much. It's not that it doesn't change anything, because now I think they probably make the playoffs, and they probably maybe even make the second round, which they weren't going to do before. They're not, going to the finals. They're not winning any championships. This is just a little, uh, you know, make their fans happy, appease the fans. I like it more for the Heat, to be honest with you. Obviously, Butler was a toxic asset to have at that point, and I know the Andrew Wiggins hate is like super strong. People like, he's washed, he's this, that, all the personal issues, and he's out all the time. But I mean, we've seen what he can be on that 2022 Warriors team, and he hasn't been that for most of his career. But if anyone can bring that out of him, it's like Eric Spoelstra. Like, I don't buy into all that Heat culture stuff all the way, but you got to admit there's something to it. There's no way they draft that well, all the time. I think that they draft pretty well and they're able to develop talent and all that. So I like it from that perspective for the Heat. Again, are they like contenders? Obviously not, but they came out of this a lot better than I think I was expecting them to, at least.
all right. Also worth noting is that Schroeder got rerouted to the Pistons. He's on the
Yeah.
Pistons
Well,
now.
to the Jazz and then to the
The
Pistons,
Jazz to
right?
the Pistons.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kyle Anderson, I don't remember what happened to him. Is he still in the
Hold
Heat
on,
I have it
or
pulled
I
up.
got like the whole like five
whole
team
thing? Okay.
trade.
He's on the Heat.
He's on the
Yeah,
Heat,
Kyle
yeah.
Anderson is on the Heat, it says.
Okay. Okay. Um, interesting. All right. So Jordany, I'd like to know your thoughts. Again, it wasn't some like crazy trade. We knew he'd eventually get traded. So the floor is yours.
As a former Jimmy, I'm a former Jimmy Butler fan, former now, because this man had been on some tomfoolery the past 2 months, bro. You be getting me mad, bro. You getting me so upset with this prima donna diva attitude for a team that, while yes, he did lead to the finals, it's not like they surrounded him with bums. He had a great team to surround him. They did a good job in building what they built, and he was just dissing them, acting like a diva, acting like a little kid, this whole situation. And for the Warriors aspect, I think this is a dumb trade, to be very real with you.
Yeah.
They gave up a pick, which I mean it's first round protected, but I mean you're still giving up a pick. Whoever knows where picks goes. You're giving up Wiggins, who's a solid asset. Schroeder's whatever, but it's just like Bro, like Jimmy Butler doesn't move the needle that much in comparison to Andrew Wiggins. He's had a pretty mediocre season for his standards so far, and he's playing well so far. But at the end of the day, this is not that big of a needle mover to me. And I feel like one of the reasons they got him was a playoff Jimmy, but he's old now. And if this season is any indication as to what of where his ceiling is now, then the playoff Jimmy thing, I'm not buying into it right now. So not good for the Warriors. Pretty good for the Heat. They get rid of toxicity, improve the locker room, and they get a pretty solid piece in Wiggins. So good for the Heat.
Yes, yes. Thank excuse me, thank you. Yeah, so I was actually trying to think about the whole because you mentioned the whole like playoff Jimmy thing. And I was trying to find the actual stats of his game that he played like last year in the plan before he got hurt. Um but like, Google hasn't really like registered like the play-in as an actual thing yet still because it's still like on the newer side. So it's getting increasingly hard to find it. If you can somehow find it, Jordan, that'd be cool. It was against the
So
Sixers.
those stats are not like they're you can obviously find them somewhere online, but they're not recorded for like awards or anything, so it's
They're not
way harder to find
it's
them.
way harder to find. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess like putting that like to the side, we had kind of known we had known two things. We know that one, obviously Butler did not want to go, or excuse me, did not want to stay in Miami. And two, we knew that the Warriors were looking to make a move. Right? This is a team that for the past 10 years have, you know, usually been at least a playoff team. They've actually for a while they were at least a finals team. I mean, they made it like four straight times, had a couple down years, without Clay and all of them, and then they came back and they won another ring. Um, so but really, when this trade, oh, and then the other thing that wait, no, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, so I said the two things. So the Warriors, were recently they've kind of struck out a lot with acquiring talent. They were in the running to get like Pascal. They were in the running to get like Larry Markkinen. They were in the running to get like Paul George, which it seemed like it's a good thing that they struck out on Paul George. And then even in the draft, right? They draft Pods, they draft Wiseman. Um, they wanted to have this thing with the new movement of having like the two timeline thing. And then the one, I guess kind of bright spot that they had was Jordan Poole, who Draymond Green punched out of the team. So, things haven't been great for the Warriors lately. They lost to the Lakers the last time they were in the playoffs, and they weren't even in the playoffs last year. They were in a play-in, and they lost to the Kings. No, who did they lose to? He went 0 for 11. I remember Clay went 0 for 11. I forgot
And
what
an
team it.
elimination. It was the Kings, yeah.
It was the Kings, yeah.
Okay, so it was the Kings. Yeah. So, you know, I was I knew that the Warriors were really desperate, right? They tried to get like Kevin Durant. It
Yeah.
seemed like they were awfully close, but KD ultimately said he didn't want to leave. And so now, when I was thinking about this trade and all the other trades that they were in the running to make, I thought the only thing I was really thinking about was Curry, right? You have this guy who no longer is in his prime, but he's still, he's an all-star caliber player. He's a generational talent. He can turn it up. But, when you have a guy that's that good, like on your team, you need to make sure that you are trying to always win, right? And they've struck out a few times. So I knew that they were desperate. And so, like, when they made this trade, I respected it on an organization standpoint. I was like, I get it. I wasn't scared. I didn't think, oh, this immediately made. I know Jimmy Butler and Draymond think that they will win the championship this year. I don't think that's happening. But so I, I was thinking about it. I'm just like, yeah, no, I perfectly understand why they made this trade. Um, and especially having a guy like Curry on your team. But the thing that really kills me is the extension. Um,
Or no,
what
that's
Yeah.
did they
facts.
give him? I
Facts. Me
forgot how
too.
much they gave him,
Like
but
two
It is less than they would
two
have given Paul
year
George though. But yeah.
2 years, 125 million, I think.
Yeah, it was around
Somewhere
that.
in that
because
range.
he's making about like 60 mil a year when his
Yeah.
extension
Oh,
kicks in. That to me
nasty work.
is
Nasty
now a
work.
lot of people were like really mad at that extension because like
Two
60
years,
mil,
121.
121. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. A lot of people were really mad at that, extension. I thought it was stupid. Um, but ultimately, I think this is kind of Golden State just being like, we have one last chance. We know that Curry's getting old. We know that Draymond's getting old. This is our last chance, so we have to do something. And it's always kind of funny too because the tier of players just like continue to get lower and lower and lower. I think Paul George, at the time was better than Butler was last year. So it was just like they would go from like Kevin Durant, they would go from Paul George, and then they tried to get Ingram. Oh yeah, Ingram was another guy that they tried to
Yeah.
get, and then it didn't work out. And then now it's just Jimmy Butler, who's a great player, but is really old. I think he's 35 now. So by the
Yeah.
time his extension ends, he'll be like 38. The one good thing about his extension was that it ends when Curry's and Draymond's like contracts do. So they
They're
can
gonna clear
leave
a lot
at
of
the same
cap
time,
by then.
clear a
By
lot
this,
of cap,
yeah,
and
same
do
cap by that
whatever.
time.
And I'd like to imagine when Curry like when that contract is over with, I think Curry and Draymond would probably retire the same year. I would
Yeah.
think so. Because at
Steve
that
Kerr
point,
also, his
Steve
contract
Kerr,
ends.
really. So I think it's perfect in a way. It's still
Wow.
stupid, but it's like kind of like a storybook ending, even if
Yeah.
it doesn't have a happy ending. So, my thoughts were that I don't think this will, you know, make the like the finals or whatever. This isn't going to do what they hoped it would do, but I think we all were kind of under the understanding that they had to do something, or else Curry would be like really unhappy, and then you got to trade Curry. Now the question
Yeah.
remains: what would be better for them in the future? Having like giving up assets to get a guy like Jimmy and Butler, or maybe would it have been a better idea to trade Curry and try to get assets, at least like a few picks. Maybe attempt to trade Draymond. I don't know who
Yeah.
would want that, but and
Celtics.
then
I
so
want Draymond.
and then Wiggins. I think a team would probably throw some like bench players, and then maybe like a couple like second rounders to get Wiggins. Maybe it would have been better if they just gave up and tried to just start all over, but it was never really indicated that Curry wanted out, even though he probably should have asked out. But I think they had to do something. I respect the move. It doesn't change much for me, but I respect that the organization you know made a move, and they made a move that I think most Golden State fans are okay with, unlike another organization that we'll talk about later that does not care what the fans want.
Yep.
So
I do want
you
to say I
know
did find his stats for that playing game. It was
Oh yeah, me
19
too. Yeah.
points, but he went 5 for 18 from the field. But he was doing his
Yeah.
foul baiting stuff. So
so and then he got injured in like the third quarter, I thought, right?
yeah, he still played 40 minutes, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
He did.
39 minutes. Yeah.
He
He had
did,
five
yeah.
But he did.
steals, which is good, but overall his plus minus was -1.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens if playoff Jimmy can reprise his role, in the playoffs, assuming they make it. I think this totally makes them a lock to make the plan.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. What are the standings right
Um,
now? What do they look like?
that's a good question. I'll let you guys look that up.
Yeah.
I think the Spurs aren't going to make the plan. And it's probably in their best interest. But we'll talk about the Spurs actually. I mean, after this, but
Oh yeah, the Warriors are actually already in the play-in.
yes,
Yeah.
but
They're up 1.5 games.
it's a matter of
Yeah,
them
it's
staying
a
there
very
though.
it's a very
It's
close
tight, right?
competition,
Yeah,
yeah.
because of what it's the Suns, it's the Kings, it's
Mavericks
the
Mavericks
Warriors.
are the eighth seed, but they're hanging in that
I think
air
the
Yeah,
Mavericks
well,
are
we'll
gonna
get to that.
fall.
They're
Yeah,
missing all their people right now.
everyone. Yeah. So I mean, look, if I had to give this trade a grade I really don't care about the Heat at all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna make up
Yeah.
some stuff about the Heat. I've never cared about the Heat, even when LeBron was there.
I hate the
So
Heat, but
he hates
that's
the
just me.
Heat. So I would give this trade for the Warriors. I'll give it a B because they had to do it, and it's not a bad
Yep.
move. I don't think it's a bad move. I think they had to do it, and it is what it is. So we're gonna talk about our next trade.
I give it a
Trade,
C.
huh?
I give it a C.
Oh,
Yeah.
the trade.
Yeah.
I'll give it a C plus or not. I'll give it a B minus because and this is under the assumption that they keep Kaminga and Kaminga starts playing well because what you can do is you keep him for a bit and then when all these guys retire, it's not about keeping him necessarily, it's about trading him when his value is super high and I think he could give you everything you need to rebuild if you just keep him, have him stat padding and stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. You can get him like a Jeremy Grant like kind of contract where he's on a
Yep.
bad team, but he puts up great numbers, and then he falls off like Jeremy Grant did.
Yeah, and
Jeremy
teams like
Grant
the Lakers will
really
beg you
makes me
for him,
mad.
so
Jeremy Grant makes me mad
yeah.
because he was averaging like 21 or like 22 a game, and then this trade happens, and he's averaging I think like 14 now, and I had to drop him like from my fantasy league
He got
or
his
my
bag
fan.
and he didn't care anymore.
Didn't care anymore. Um, got this other trade. It's a three-team trade. Jordany, would you be ever so kind to break it down?
We got the Bulls receiving Kevin Herter, Trey Jones, Zach Collins, and a 2025 first round pick. The Spurs receiving De'Aaron Fox and Mr. McLaughlin. I don't know what his first name is. Uh,
Probably Jalen or Jared, something
It's
like that.
Jordan.
Jordan.
probably we could assume it's Jordan. Okay,
Yeah, he
and
played for
then the
the
Kings.
Timberwolves last year.
Oh, okay. Hey, this boy got ball knowledge. And then the Kings got Zach LaVine, Sade Sissoko, three first rounders and three second rounders.
Thank you. So I don't care about the Bulls in this scenario.
This is a nothing
Yeah.
trade for him.
Yeah, the Bulls,
Um,
I don't know,
I
man.
The
don't.
Bulls are just inexplicable.
It's been really interesting. Actually, I will. Actually, it's not even my turn to speak. But so all right, Jason, I'll let you. Actually, I wanted to go first, and then Jay second, and then you can go last. You go. I think you have the most to say.
Yeah, I probably do.
So, Jordana, you can go.
Um, Good move for the Spurs, I think, even though it disrupts Chris Paul on my fantasy team.
Uh,
But it's okay. When we're talking about just strictly basketball, I think it's a good move for the Spurs. He's gonna get a lot of veteran help from Chris Paul. He's gonna show him really Chris Paul. I love Chris Paul, guys. I love Chris Paul. Point guard, his antics are kind of questionable on the court, but when we talking about just his play, heck of a player. I love Chris Paul. I know he's gonna be a good veteran presence for De'Aaron Fox. He already was for Wemby, so I think there's gonna be a good pair for the future. The the Spurs are definitely, I think, a slept on fairly young team with Vassell, Castle, Fox now, Wemby. They have a good core that I think could put it together in a few years. The Bulls, chump change. And for the Kings, not really much. Zach LaVine ain't gonna do nothing for them. They just lost a good ball handler in Fox. So realistically, I think it's a downgrade for the Kings. Um, I don't think they're gonna go anywhere. The Spurs looking pretty good for the future, and the Bulls are the Bulls. I'm done.
all right. Can we have a person like look up what is the starting lineup like that the Kings are running now? I'm curious as to who their starting point guard is.
Oh, they just
Um,
signed a dude. Hold on, I'll check.
oh, they got Fultz.
Fultz, yes, they
Oh
just
They did
signed
get
Lord.
Fultz.
Fultz. Okay. Well, but I don't think he'll be
Yeah, I mean
starting
you
though.
have a really good point guard like 25% of the time.
Yeah. Um, for the Kings, I think Fox is obviously better than Levine, but I don't think it's that big of a gap where the Kings will like I don't know, like go down all that much. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, like, Fox wasn't really much of a defender and Levine isn't either. He's gonna put up probably, like similar, but it's the ball handling, aspect that I'm curious to see who's gonna be like who's gonna be actually like running their offense. But ultimately, like Fox, I mean, Jason might disagree with me on this because I know you're a Fox fan, but Fox
Yeah.
was not like he wasn't the best player on the Kings. It was a bonus.
Okay, you're insane. You're
It was a
insane.
bonus.
You're
It was a
insane.
bonus. It was
You're
a
insane.
bonus.
The offense was drawn up for Sabonis. That's why Sabonis gets all those. He has the most touches of any player in the NBA, I think, last season
and he
because
deserves it all.
everything's a dribble handoff.
No, I think if they traded him instead of Fox, then the Kings would be a much worse team than they are
Yeah,
with
because they
Levine
need to
without Fox.
redraw all their plays and like do they'd have to change everything if they got rid of Sabonis.
Well,
But if you made a team around Fox instead of making a team around Sabonis, then you'd be fine.
well,
Make no
that's a
mistake, the team was built around Sabonis.
make no mistake. Okay. Well, I'll let you go on about that a little later. But I think ultimately this doesn't change much for the Kings. They're still a playing team. I don't think they'll fall out of the plan. I think the most valuable thing here is definitely the first of the three like first round picks, you know. I don't know the protections on them if there are any, you know, but I think they definitely needed that because eventually it'll probably get to a point where, you know, they might have to trade Levine or Sabonis. You don't know how long this team is going to last. And even if they do last, they're not going to be very good. No one wants to live in Sacramento, or no one wants to play for Sacramento. At least I don't know how the weather is in Sacramento. I mean, it is California. I'm sure it's not that bad, but and then for the Bulls, it's very interesting. I think this is actually horrible for the Bulls because, like, I was thinking about, like the Josh Giddey trade
Mhm.
where the Thunder got, Caruso and we gave him Giddey. I watched Giddey play basketball basically every game that he played, that year. I don't think he's a bad basketball player. I just think he was obviously having a rough year off the court, but also on top of that, after Chet came back, and then like Jalen Williams started to really like take off. I don't think he really fit on that team, and so he was kind of just like a black hole on defense, and his offense wasn't all that good either. But there was a stretch of games where Giddey played really well when Shea was hurt. And that was actually, I think we went to one of those games actually, Jason. I think you were there.
Oh, in April?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you were
Yep.
there.
Yeah, we did go that one.
He played great. I don't know his stats, but he played great. So I was looking at the trade, and then they traded, him, or they traded him for Alex. I didn't hate that trade. I thought it worked out. I feel like they could have definitely done better with other teams, especially with picks. But it is interesting that they didn't even ask for a pick because I feel like if they asked, like, like Sam Presti, can you include a pick? They probably would have. I
They
feel
got
like
mad picks, but then they
we
have
have a
a
million
load of
picks.
picks.
Not even I'm talking maybe even just like a second rounder. I don't even mean it first, but they didn't get a pick. So now I'm looking at this, right? Um, they give up, Levine, and now the three like first round picks came from the Spurs or the Bulls? The Spurs, right?
So I'm looking at the trader now. The Kings got six pick. Oh, you're talking about just the first round picks?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. One was from the Hornets, one was from the Spurs, one was from the Timberwolves. So I think they were all.
like from the
Yeah, right here, the Kings got picks from the Hornets, Spurs, Wolves, two from the Bulls, one from the Nuggets. No protection on any of them.
okay,
Yeah, but the two they got from the Bulls were seconds.
okay. So my
Yeah,
issue is you could have definitely gotten more for Zach LaVine. You got like Kevin Herter, who I believe is having one of his worst years. As I'm looking at Kevin Herter now, he kind of looks like Larry Bird. You get Trey Jones, who cares, respectfully, and then Zach Collins, who I feel like no one's talked about since his Trailblazer days.
yeah.
When have you heard of that? I'm not tripping, right? Like Collins played on the Blazers at one point.
I
Yeah, he
picked
was
them
a
up a few
Blazer.
times on fantasy. About it.
Yeah. And then they got one first round pick. They could have gotten more. You telling me Mikal Bridges, who's never had a single accolade in his life, aside from I think a couple defensive teams, um, went for 5 first round picks,
Yep.
but like
Rudy
Zach
Gobert went for
Levine
four.
went for 4, and Levine is a guy who's made all-star teams and no picks, or it's just one pick. I don't really quite
Yeah, it's the one
understand
from
that. I feel
Spurs.
like they could have gotten more. They didn't even really get a young up and coming player that's just like, oh, this guy's gonna really turn into, you know. Um, I mean, the most interesting thing because Zach Collins is old. Trey
He's
Jones,
27.
Trey Jones is averaging On the Spurs, he averages, or yeah, on the Spurs, he averages like 4 points.
Yep. I'm surprised they didn't get like Sohan or somebody.
Yeah,
Like not even Vassell, like just Sohan, you know?
And then on Chicago, his last two games, he had like 15 and 8, which aren't bad. But the game before that, he played 18 minutes. He was 0 for 3, not a single point. So the Spurs, this is a horrible trailer for the Bulls. Now, now for the Spurs, I think this is very good. I think this is really good for Wemby. He needed another. I always said you don't want to pair Wemby with a star because when that happens, they're going to rule the world at some point. I don't think this team is ready yet to really compete for much besides maybe a play-in spot. They still have I think they need more vets on the team aside from Chris Paul, who's like 80. And I think they need more vets and they need more pieces to really, contend. They can probably I think their front or I think their backcourt is, like pretty decent. I think they should probably look to get a replacement for Chris Paul, like another backup point guard,
Yeah,
because he's not going
definitely.
to be playing for too much
He's
longer.
out soon. Yeah.
And by the time that I think they start really looking, really good, I don't think Chris Paul will, be on the team. He's like,
Yeah.
I think he's like 39.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll
So
be
Gonna be
in like
40.
a Udonis Haslem role if they ever start to
Yeah.
keep him.
yeah. So, but ultimately, this is really good for a guy like Wemby, who needs real NBA players around him, and he
Yeah.
needed a star. He needed a co-star. He can't do everything on his own. Now that he has a co-star, he doesn't have to do, he doesn't have to have as many touches as he once did. You have a guy who's just like, okay, and I think my favorite thing about Fox is that he's clutch. He's
Yep.
a
Yeah.
clutch guy. So now is the
A
thing where
reigning
like
clutch player of the year.
you don't even have to have, Wemby, have he can be doing like, like something else, because he's tall. He can do a lot of other things besides having to take, the last shot. So I think this helps them. I know Fox isn't, the greatest like 3 point like shooter in the world, but I think that's fine. I think this is really good, for the Spurs. Do I see a duo of Fox and Wemby like winning a championship? I think this really relies on what they do with, like the rest of the pieces and how good like Wemby like truly gets. I don't think a lot of that really relies on Fox. I don't see Fox getting any better but than he actually is now. He's like 28, 27 now.
27.
Yeah.
27. So I don't see, like another level for him to reach. I think he's a solid all-star caliber player. He's not a superstar. And I think this is better because even though I didn't think he was the best player in the Kings, I'm sure some people, including Jason, did.
Hmm.
And I think, but like with that being the case, I think you agree with me that you're not going to win a championship with Fox as your best player. So I'll let you speak,
I'm
but
okay. So yeah.
He didn't
First, I'm gonna
hesitate.
address the okay. Yeah, you probably weren't winning a championship with Fox as your best player. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of hard to say that for sure. I think that's mostly because he's just a guard, and guards usually can't be your best player. It's a very hard position to be the best player on your team from. Like that's not, the blueprint most of the time. You need like a wing or something. But I agree though. I agree with that statement in general. But yeah, the trade. I'm gonna start with the Bulls. Yeah, this was honestly a disaster class. They're probably the worst front office. I know everyone's like, oh, the Mavericks did. Yeah, but the Mavericks are so bad, it kind of seems like sabotage. Like it's so bad, it's like there has to be a reason, you know? The Bulls, it's like they're making trades out here like they're the Lakers. They're out here making trades like they're like one of the destinations that every free agent wants to go to. And it's just not how it works. You're the Chicago Bulls, all right? Like you don't get that kind of all your best
Chicago
players you
Bulls in the
drafted.
2020s, not in the
Yeah,
90s.
exactly. You don't have Michael Jordan anymore. That's not, oh yeah, I want to go play for MJ. No, this I can go play for Kevin Herter. That's not you don't have anybody anymore. So I think it was awful that not getting first round picks. I mean, it was already embarrassing when they let DeRozan go for nothing. And then it was embarrassing when they traded Caruso and didn't even get a first round pick. And then that's even more embarrassing. They trade Levine, who was playing well. It's not like Levine was injured. Like if you showed me this package, if you went back in time and showed me this package in the offseason, I'd be like, oh, he must have, hurt his ankle again and missed a ton of time. He was playing well, and this was the package they got from him. That's insane to me. Um, Now jumping to the Kings, I don't know why they got Zach LaVine. Like I don't understand. I agree that the difference between Fox and Levine is not that big. I think Fox is a better player, but
Yeah.
that's because he's a better defender. Like offensively, Zach LaVine is insane. He doesn't have the same passing as Fox, but his shooting is better. He's more athletic. Well, Fox is faster, but Levine is just more athletic around the rim and stuff. So they're not that big of a difference in players. I would say it's a slight downgrade, but it's not
I
insane.
I was gonna mention, and then you can go on after this. The one big downgrade that's objective is Levine. Although he's been healthy for majority of this year, he
Okay, yeah.
does have a bad history of injuries, and I meant to say that earlier. So, but ultimately, I don't know what the Kings are really playing for right now.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's really a huge thing, But you can go on. Sorry.
Yeah, to me it's a similar concept as that Bulls team from 2021. I saw a meme. It was like you can kill the man but not the idea, and it's just the 2021 Bulls team and the 2025 Kings because it's the same idea. Like we're just gonna go out there, we're gonna win some games, not a lot of games, but we're gonna win some games, and people are gonna come see our games, and we're gonna make a lot of money, and that's it. We're not trying to win it. That's how it is when you're a small market team. I mean, be good for a season or two, win some games, make the playoffs maybe, get your fans excited, but we're not actually trying to win anything. Winning things is hard, so we're not going to try and do that.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the kind of like I understand why the Kings did it. It's purely just they're not trying to win. They're trying to have a competitive team competing for like maybe even a top six seed. Like that's the goal, That's the like, whoa, if we did that, that'd be our championship. Um, so I understand it, and they got a ton of picks from this. I didn't even notice that they got three first and three seconds. That
Yeah.
actually is insane to me.
I think that's the best thing
Uh,
about the trade.
yeah, that's insane. They got those picks, and that to me, like they're trying to, I guess, build at the same time as they're winning, which is smart. That's exactly what the Celtics did. You trade your good players, but you don't trade all your good players. And so you keep winning, your fans stay interested, but you're also slowly building in the draft. And these aren't like nothing picks either. I mean, the 2031 Timberwolves pick, if Anthony Edwards ever gets moved, that's obviously going to be insane. 2027 from the Spurs is obviously not going to be a good pick at all. I mean, watch Wemby and Fox both get injured that year and they get like the one seed or the number one pick or
Mm.
something, but that pick shouldn't be good. Then the 2025 Hornets pick, which obviously is going to be very good.
Yeah, or
Um,
that's what I saw. That's gonna be a good pick for sure.
yeah. Um, and yeah, that's about it for them. I think the Kings, they did a great job here. Bulls just are stupid. And the Spurs, I mean, this is just incredible. I think you can never doubt the Spurs front office. I feel like last year, I would say newer NBA fans, like the younger fans, were like, what are the Spurs doing? Wemby's so good. They're not building around him. Even some of the analysts and stuff were saying that. There was that one lady, I don't remember her name, but she was like, "Oh, Wemby's getting disgruntled in the locker room." And it was like March of
Yeah.
his rookie year. Like, what are we talking about? He's getting disgruntled. If he is getting disgruntled, the dude needs to like get patient. What is wrong with him?
Yeah.
But obviously, it was just a completely false report. Um, but yeah, Fox definitely moves the needle for the Spurs. I think they're gonna at least make the play in this year. And if they do that, they could be really dangerous if they do that. Um, and then in the future, I think I can confidently say I think Fox and Wemby with a good team around them is insanely dangerous. Like that would be insanely dangerous. People are gonna say like third star, all that. I don't think third star is the way you do it. I think definitely duos are I mean, look at the more recent championship teams, it's been duos, not really a big three anymore because you can't afford to pay three guys. You
Yeah.
pay two guys and then build a team around them.
Hmm.
So I think that they've got the formula figured out and they are ready to compete for years to come. I mean, Fox, obviously his athleticism is kind of carrying him right now, but and so that's I think the concern with Fox is that he might fall off earlier than your average guard because his athleticism is so important to his game, like him being so fast.
Like Westbrook.
Like Westbrook, exactly like Westbrook. But his shooting is better than Westbrook's ever
Yeah.
was. At
All
least
right,
that
Jamie.
you might pull up the percentages and it might be the
No,
same,
it's
but
right. He's right.
oh no,
I
I'm a huge
think
Westbrook fan. Yeah, I'm a huge
no,
Westbrook
I
fan.
think
Okay.
But
I think his mid range, was like really good at one point,
Yeah.
Russ. But I think between injuries and the fact that he's added on like a lot of muscle,
Yeah.
that's kind of affected his shot. I mean, even with free throws. Another interesting thing with Russ, and this is like a little off topic. You remember when they changed the rule where you can't like walk, like you can't like leave the circle, like when you're shooting a free throw?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like part of Russ's routine is he would walk like to half court and then come back.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And ever since they changed that, his shot hasn't been falling,
That's
which is
crazy.
very interesting. Like that was part of his routine, and he can't focus like that anymore. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's very like yeah, I've noticed free throw routine. Some players have really specific ones, like Klay Thompson.
yeah,
He would always dribble like I think it was 3 times, and he would do like the same weird hand motion every time. It was weird. Anyway, um,
Mhm.
who knows? Maybe if they changed that rule and they said you have to shoot like I don't know Kevin Durant now, he would start
yeah,
missing.
yeah,
Uh, and back to the De'Aaron Fox thing. I really like this for the Spurs. Problem is, I'm not a Spurs fan.
yeah.
Uh, so I don't because I always was slightly a Kings fan. Not a ton, but it was just that Rajon Rondo got traded there, and I was a huge Rondo fan.
Huh,
And for
Respect
that
for that.
small period of time where it was Rondo and Cousins, I was a huge like
Yeah.
Kings fan.
Yeah,
So
we old, man. I remember that. Sheesh.
yeah. And that to me like carried on because like I like their colors and I like even after he left it kind of carried on. So I was just kind of rooting for him in the background. And then when De'Aaron Fox started going off, the light the beam era was insane. I was really into the Kings that season. I was probably more sad that season when the Kings lost to the Warriors than when the Celtics lost to the Heat because I kind of saw the loss of the Heat coming. So that's how into it I was with the Kings. With Spurs, I'm just not like that. Like I love De'Aaron Fox, but I can't confidently say he's my favorite player in the NBA anymore because I'm not going to watch as many of his games. Um,
who would be number two if you had to, I don't know, like move on to another player?
um, like that's the thing on it. Some nights it's Jason Tatum, but most nights it's not because he just doesn't want to be that guy. But when he's on, like it's Jason Tatum for sure. Um, I don't know. Most of my favorite players are just old now. Like Westbrook is old. I don't want to. That just seems sad, being a
That's
Westbrook
fair.
fan
No,
in
I I
2025.
I am one. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh no, I
So
like Westbrook. Like
yeah,
if nothing would make me happier than the Nuggets winning the championship this year, and Russ win like sixth man of the year or something. That would be
nah, yeah.
incredible.
I
Not happening.
if OKC does not win this year, I would be fine if Denver did. Like if Denver knocked us out of the playoffs, I'd be upset, but not that upset.
Yeah.
If there was any team I would want to, it would be
Right.
them.
Aside from the Celtics repeating, I would that the Nuggets are the only team I
Yeah.
would want to win.
So yeah, those are our thoughts on that trade. But now we got the big one.
Yeah.
The one that I'm actually really, really glad that we waited as long as we did to do this. Because there's something that's even funnier about this trade. Now that it's been a few
Yeah.
days. So we're gonna talk about the Daniel Tice to OKC trade. So
Okay, yeah.
essentially,
Love
no,
that. Here we go.
no. Yeah, of course we're talking about
Drew
the
Eubanks
trade.
and Patty Mills for Mo Bamba and PJ Tucker
Yes, sir,
and cash
dude.
considerations.
Cash considerations. You can't forget the cash
The best
considerations.
part, cash consideration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jordan, you want to break this down?
Anthony made a Glass Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 LA first round pick. It's just still don't feel real. Luka Doncic, Maxi Keebler, and Markieff Morris. My favorite twin of the Morris brothers. I don't know the difference. To the Lakers. And Jalen Hood Shafino. So pointless. This part is just so pointless. The 2025 Clippers second rounder and 2025 Dallas second rounder to the Jazz.
Jason, it's funny too. I was gonna say I remember speaking to like to the two of you the night of the trade happened. But Jason, I'll let you get your
Start. All
yeah.
right. I'm gonna start with the Jazz actually because this is so funny to me. Apparently, the Jazz did not know what trade they were even involved in. All they knew
I
was they
saw
were
that.
getting Jalen
I
Hood-Schifino
saw
and
that. I
getting their
saw that.
picks. They did not know what was happening. I think that's so funny.
That is
Because
funny.
like if he had told them, would they have done it still? Like would they have been like,
That's
oh,
honestly a good question.
I don't
I
know if
don't
they
think
would
they
have
would
cared.
have.
I don't know
Well,
if they
I
would
don't
have
think that. I
cared.
don't think they would have.
They're like, I don't want to touch
Really.
that. Like you guys figure that out. Get the Pistons in on that or something. We are not touching that. But I think that's hilarious. They had no clue what was going on. All in all, the Jazz make so many worthless picks like this. They have, or like worthless trades like this, and they get worthless picks. And they are probably the people make jokes about other organizations, but they are probably the most lost organization in the league right now. Their
Yeah,
rebuild is
the Jazz is
so
purgatory.
strange.
Purgatory don't
Yeah,
exist, excuse me, Lord, but this
yeah,
is basketball purgatory
yeah.
because
They had no, they literally have no way of getting out unless they draft like Cooper
top
Flag
player.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's got to be insane because I
But
don't know what they're doing.
the thing that's funny is that they're not even bad enough to get that high of a pick,
Yeah.
really, unless they win the lottery. The only way they get a player that is like generational is if they win the lottery.
Yep. And they got Jordan Clarkson over there making sure that that doesn't happen. I remember when he got a triple double, it was like their first one in like 20 years. They threw a parade or whatever. It was crazy.
The tank
That's
commander.
insane. I'm glad Charlotte isn't that down bad because that's awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the Mavs, I guess. This is stupid. This is stupid. Like this is another level. You know what? No, let's talk about the Lakers first. Talk about the Lakers first. Y'all got Luka Doncic. Congratulations. That's cool. And Markieff Morris, I don't know if you guys have seen the clip of Markieff Morris talking about he was so confused and they said he was getting
Oh
traded.
yeah.
He was like, who
Me?
wants me?
It was.
But yeah, for Luka Doncic, it makes sense. Yeah, I'd take Markieff Morris for Luka Doncic for sure. Um, There's a package deal.
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier with your phrasing, but like, yeah, the Lakers are built to win now. Maybe not a championship, but they're built to be very competitive now, and they're built to definitely win in the future. And that's perfect. That's exactly what they wanted after LeBron. So this is incredible because I mean, I didn't expect them to ever be able to pull something off like this. And the price they gave up was Anthony Davis and Max Christie and one first round pick. A completely useless first round pick too, because you have Luca. So, that's cool.
Yeah.
The Mavs are stupid. The Mavs are the thing is that they are a good front office too. I mean, think of last year when they took that team that was just awful, no defense, and they made it into a like championship caliber team in one trade deadline. It wasn't even the offseason, it was the trade deadline. Like that's crazy. That is like only the best front office pull off stuff like that. That is genuinely insane to me. So the only answer here is conspiracy because they are way too good of a front office to be seriously making a deal like this. Um, and obviously Max Christie's been playing pretty well. There's like a stat: Max Christie has more points and has a better percentage than a field goal percentage than Luka Doncic does since the trade. But Anthony Davis, what was the injury? Someone was his groin or something, or a
It
I think
was
he strained the calf, I think.
it was no, it was his abdomen.
Oh yeah,
He
his
had issues
ab,
with his
yeah,
abdomen,
yeah.
yeah.
okay, yeah. That's just so unfortunate. I mean, he looked so good in that first game, but I don't even know why you wanted Anthony Davis. Like, he's great, obviously, but even aside from the injury history, he's not going to win you a championship. Him and Kyrie aren't some like championship duo that's gonna, I don't know what thought process was there. I genuinely, it was the whole thing was a ploy to legalize gambling in Texas. There's literally no way. There's no way. I don't see this being anything other than just conspiracies, theories, and stuff. This is a dumb trade.
I
That's
get
fair.
it. No,
For
I get it. I
Danny.
get it. How you doing?
Hmm?
How you doing?
Yeah, it's oh yeah, you're a Lakers fan. Well, this should be
How
funny.
you doing?
It wasn't even occurring to me. This should be great. This is
How
all
you,
you.
how you doing? How you doing?
How are you doing?
Oh man, this is great, man. This is great, you know. I'm never gonna forget Jamin. Well, I was already on the phone with a bunch of our friends, and Jamin came on the chat. He came on the call, and my phone. This happened at like 12 o'clock. My phone's already on Do Not Disturb, and this man comes to this chat. You saw the trade? I was just so confused. I'm just smiling, like, what trade, man? What you talking about? And it was like Luca got traded. I'm like, what? I was literally like, no way, dog. You're playing with me. And then I go to the Discord and it's blowing up. Everybody's freaking out on the Discord. I'm like, this really happened. Utah, like I said, purgatory. Nobody cares about you, Utah. Everything that Jason said about Dallas is I the conspiracy really is the only way. And I saw like a whole thing about what the owners want to do, and there's new ownership, and it makes a lot of sense. It honestly makes a lot of sense because for them to, like he said, have a great offseason last year to build the core that they did, they had great depth, good starting lineup. They had everything offensively, defensively. It's just they played the Celtics. The Celtics were the better team. They
Yep.
just lost to the best team in the league, so you can't
Absolutely.
even blame them.
Yep.
But to give up
Say it again.
Luca for injury riddled 31-year-old Anthony Davis is wild. It's always gonna be wild.
Did you say
And
absolutely?
no, I did.
That would have been
No,
so stupid.
No,
I absolutely did not.
I thought Jason
Uh,
said absolutely. I was
No, I
thinking
did
about
not
it for
say
the
that.
longest. I thought because you smiled after you said, I was like, "There's no way this man said absolutely."
I did not
Okay,
say absolutely. That would have been stupid. I
that
said
would have been
absolutely.
horrible. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. All right, I'm sorry,
but
Jordan. Continue.
everything else doesn't matter. The Lakers got Luca, people. The Lakers got
Yep.
Luca Doncic, people. Like that is so crazy. The concerns for whatever crap Dallas said doesn't really matter. Um, his conditioning, that is something that can always be fixed. His mentality, at the end of the day, he's still a young guy. It's not like he's stuck being whatever, if he even is lazy, whatever complaints they had about him could be changed because this man isn't 40. He's 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So LeBron is going to be a mentor to him for the next 2, 3 years or this year. However long LeBron plays for, he'll be a great mentor to Luca. The Lakers are still and always will be a destination for free agents so they can sign great players around Luca, but they got their core player. And they've done a good job of building a core before.
Yeah.
The only thing that concerns me is if we get another, trading for superstar pieces situation like when they traded for Russ, which I didn't like from day one because at the end of the day, Russ was never going to be a fit if you use your brain.
Yeah.
So if they just get one more superstar, they don't even need someone like Kyrie, just get one more superstar. And I would like primarily a defensive superstar, somebody like
Don't say Rudy Gobert.
no, heck no,
Okay,
never.
good.
Not like I'm more looking for a great two-way player. Someone like a
Gotcha.
funny enough like a prime Jimmy Butler. I think would be a great piece to Luca, and then just a solid core around him. A good role players, 3-and-D players that can play around Luca and another two-way superstar. And I think that's going to be a championship caliber team.
Okay, that's
Shout
fair.
out to the Lakers. Shout out Rob Pelinka.
Um,
Excellent.
so like you said, it was midnight. First person I told was you.
I'm
Um,
proud for that. Wow.
yeah, well, actually, I put it like in the Discord first, and then I saw that you were still on the phone with everyone else in the group, and so like I joined the call, and then we went into like our own call, and we talked about it. Crazy. I remember telling my dad about it. I knocked on my brother's door. He was sleeping. I thought it would be hilarious. He just wakes up to like the craziest trade of all time, which is what
Yep.
this is. This is the
Absolutely.
craziest NBA trade of all time.
Easily.
On top
Of
of
course.
that, I don't know a lot about other sports, but I've seen people that know more than me saying that it's one of the craziest moves in sports history, period.
No, yeah, it's easily, yeah.
So, like everyone else, I thought that Shams got hacked.
Yep.
I thought their brother got hacked. And I thought, oh, this guy would be like Centel, like this is NBA Centel. This ain't NBA Central. And then he confirmed it. All right, look, I'm gonna talk about the Mavs first. When I saw this trade, I thought it made absolutely zero sense to trade Luca for Anthony Davis because of the fact that AD is like 6 years older and his bones are string cheese. I'm tired of saying they're glass at this point. It's
Yeah,
cheese.
he said no. He said a little
His bones
solo
are
feeder.
cheese. Like craft
Peel off.
cheese. Not
You
even
peel off.
good like the good stuff. His stuff is made out of craft.
Velveeta.
It's the kind of stuff they serve in the after school program. That's the kind
Oh
of
yeah.
cheese that his bones are made out of. And his
Government
blood is
cheese.
strawberry milk. Um, so jokes aside, this trade is really bad. I think trading Luca for a guy like Anthony Davis, who is older, not as good, and although he is a much better defender, one of the best defenders in the league, and one of the greatest power forwards of all time. Like don't get me wrong. Um, he's injury prone. And I always thought that was going to be the issue. Because sure, his defense will help you in the playoffs, but it doesn't matter if he's not in the playoffs. So I'm watching that first game against whoever they were playing. And I'm just like, yo, AD is hooping. I've never seen AD play. It's been a while since I've seen like AD play like that. It's like, we're going back to the bubble. I'm like, wow, this man is hooping. You know what? Nico? I I'm thinking like I still think you're gonna get death threats, and not that I support any guy, any person, like getting death threats, but I understand why he's getting death threats. But I'm like, you know what, Nico? Maybe there was something you saw that none of us saw. Maybe he's actually a genius. And I just happened to see that AD is out not playing in the game. And I'm just like, what happened? So I'm checking. They say he went back to the locker room. That's fine. It happens every game for Anthony Davis. He doesn't return to the game. He's been ruled out. And then they say that you know, actually it was Anthony Davis who said that it's not a serious injury. He said it's nothing serious. He said it's nothing serious. After that, it's announced that Anthony Davis is feared to be out indefinitely. And now they're wondering if they're going to get surgery. This is why the trade never made sense. Luca, Luca could have been smoking crack, and he could have been he could have lost his memory. I'm still giving him that max. I don't care. He took y'all to the finals when he was apparently out of shape and he was injured, and he could have
Oh
done
yeah,
it again. He seriously could have done it again. And they have Clay, who at this point is a role player, but I still think he can be valuable in a playoff game or a playoff series. So why would you trade a guy who's 25? 25. That's 4 years older than me and Jordan, who's already a lock for the Hall of Fame. In my opinion, he's already a lock,
Oh yeah.
especially when you count all of his overseas stuff. He's a lock. For Anthony Davis, also a Hall of Famer, but he's older. You don't have a. I would much rather have like 8 years with Luca and not win a championship than 2 years with Anthony Davis and not win a championship. Like at least just more years to build around Luca, a guy who has shown to be relatively classy. He does have his moments where he gets really heated and stuff like that. But such a stupid trade. I have a friend who's a Mavs fan, and
Oh.
he was going through it, you know? And I think ultimately this is gonna come to haunt them. I think Nico, if I'm Nico, I'm gonna get a plastic surgeon and I'm gonna change my name and move to Acapulco
Pull,
Yeah.
pull,
because
pull a
You
hush
got
real
you got
quick.
no other choice, man. You
no
got
other
no
choice.
other choice.
Now, the one thing that I do like for the Mavericks in this trade is never a win to trade a guy like Luca. The one thing that I have liked like so far is Max Christie, who has been hooping.
Yeah.
He's been playing very good. I think he can become a very just like a very valuable role player.
I mean, you could have gotten Max Christie for Najee Marshall though. Like
Yeah,
at least package around. Like you didn't need to give up Luca.
but like Max Christie, I think will hoop in his new role in Dallas. I like him. He seems like a likable guy. He's one of the few. He's one of the many NBA players now that I'm actually older than, which is crazy.
It's really weird.
I think he's 20.
That's really
So
weird.
I think he's gonna be fine in his new role. They got a pick. I don't care, honestly. Now we got the Lakers.
Max Christie's 22, actually. He's
Oh
older
wow.
than you.
Never mind. I
Oh.
apologize, Max Christie. I thought you were 20 for some reason. Um,
Max
yeah.
Christie was a second round pick. Why does everyone act like he's like something?
What do you
Like
mean?
people always expected things from Max Christie. He was a second round pick.
They just saying that because he looks like Kobe a little bit.
Okay. I always wondered why people expected things from Max Christie. That's kind of strange. I didn't know that.
I never explained anything. Now we go to the Lakers. Okay. I don't care about Maxey or Markeith. This was great for the Lakers, not now, but in the future. I could even see a world where they slip into the play-in because of the fact that they have no quality bigs and no quality defenders. Um,
Coloco? You forgot
who?
about Coloco?
Oh, I'm good on him. Um, they got Alex
Bro, they
Len.
signed Alex Len, bro.
I was gonna
The
say,
Knicks
yeah, they
Suns
get.
legend,
The
Alex
needle is
Len, bro.
moved. The needle is
Exactly.
moved.
I'm
Bro, I went
so
from here
scared of
to
him.
here, bro. What you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, so
Kidding
that
me?
was stupid. That was really dumb. Horrible. But now they got Luca, right? This will help them in the future. They got a guy to take the crown away from, not take the crown away, but take, like the keys like from LeBron to be the franchise guy. Luca in LA, maybe not this year, especially after LeBron is gone, is going to be a show. People
Yeah.
are going to want to come to play for LA. They're going to want to like play with Luca. Um, and another thing that I kind of think will happen, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Kyrie Irving recently changed his his profile picture on Twitter and the cover art on Twitter to both pictures that are purple and gold.
Wait, who again?
Kyrie Irving,
Kyrie
Oh, goodness.
who was friends
sent a
with
message.
Luca, close friends with Luca at this point. I don't know about close, but they're good friends at this point. It seems like they get along. It could be like a big brother, little brother type situation. It would not surprise me if Kyrie went and signed with the Lakers in the offseason for however much they can offer him, which isn't a
Is
lot.
he a free agent this offseason?
He has a player option.
Oh, he's gone. He
He's
is gone.
gone,
I'd be
dude.
so mad if I'm Kyrie. I don't care where. I'll sign with the Pistons, the Hornets, anything to get out of
The
Dallas.
Kyrie is not resigning, and that's like like the biggest, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest things about the Mavs. Kyrie is not resigning. Now you got
Yeah.
Anthony Davis and PJ Washington, which low key, if the Spurs make a couple more moves in the offseason, Dallas might not be a playing team. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't know if they'll be a playing team because you can't
Yeah.
rely on Anthony Davis being the
Just
one
Anthony
guy.
Davis is
It's
can't
just New
go
Orleans
anywhere.
all over again.
Yeah,
It's
I'm about to
literally
say
New
this.
Orleans
New
all over
Orleans
again.
couldn't do it. Yeah.
And before the days of like Rondo and Cousins and Drew Holiday, which was a very good team.
Yeah.
Before all that, it's the Pelicans, but he's like old now. Kyrie's not resetting. I'm willing to bet everything in Jordany's wallet that Kyrie Irving will not resign with the Lakers. How
Bro,
much is
check how
that?
much
Like,
I have.
I also
let's
bet
see.
everything in Jordany's wallet that
Yeah,
Kyrie's not resigning.
yeah. He's not resigning with the Lakers. There's no way. So now you just have
I
a
don't know
bunch
my
of
water
angry
that.
fans.
Oh,
Man,
shoot.
he probably left at the barber. It would be funny if this is when he finds out he left it at the barbershop.
That would. So wait, I have a
Okay.
question actually.
Yeah.
Do they reweigh players when they go to a new team? Like they do like physicals and stuff.
Mhm.
Do you know if they weigh them again? Like weigh them and
Probably.
measure them?
That's probably
But
part.
that's part of the physical,
Yeah,
I
that's
Okay,
believe.
so
probably
I
part.
just realized Luka Doncic's listed weight is 230 pounds.
Yes.
They said he was 270.
They said he was pushing 70. Yeah.
The Mavs said he was 270.
Yeah.
That's 40 pounds. You don't just drop 40 pounds.
In 2 weeks.
I think they're trying to put out more stuff to make it like they're trying to make it seem like a good trade.
That's insane. You don't, dude, what?
Yeah. So I think the future of the Mavs are cooked.
Yep.
And honestly, bro, the Lakers had a pretty like bad future too, up until this trade.
Yeah.
Rob Pelinka,
True.
shout out to Rob. Um, but this year they're probably not doing anything. I'm not really scared. I'd be scared of a duo of, and I think actually like when I called you, Jason, you said that like Luka and LeBron aren't really a duo. They're just a couple of great players. They're
Yeah.
just two all-stars on the team. So part of me is just like if they had like an actual team around them, I still think they can make noise in the playoffs. they made that trade for Mark Williams, and I was like, wait a minute,
That was
Oh,
a
that
good
would have been
trade.
crazy.
That was a
trade got
The
good trade. It's
lobs alone
unfortunate
would
it
have
got
carried them to the
rescinded.
conference
That's
finals.
unfortunate.
trade got rescinded. So that's really interesting. They're not doing anything this year. Next year we'll see what happens, especially if they get Kyrie. But ultimately, bruh, the Jazz won the trade. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got Jalen Hood-Schifino.
no, they actually. So
And two second rounders.
I think the Mavs are cooked. I think the Lakers are going to be good. I would say, well, before the Anthony Davis injury, I said that the Mavs are probably better. I would probably put my money on the Mavericks to complete, like, go, like, I guess, like, further in the playoffs, like, than the Lakers would before Anthony Davis got hurt. Now that he got hurt, it's not, and not
Mm.
to mention that they lost Gafford.
Yep,
They lost
lively.
Lively. Another big man I think is out. And I know PJ, he recently like twisted his ankle. So
Yeah,
I don't know if he's out yet, but so it's horrible for the Mavs right now. And if there are any, Mavs fans that are watching this, I'm not gonna be mad if you switch teams. I'm really not.
I think you should. Your front office betrayed you. You have every right to betray your team. At this point, it's
Hey,
not even betrayal. They deserve it.
if you want to become
Lakers Nation happily will accept all the deserted and foreign Mavericks fans into the nation because this is a crazy betrayal.
crazy,
I really thought that this was literally like the Lakers if they traded Kobe right after he averaged like 35 that one year and
Yeah,
Rick carried
that's a
them.
good comparison, honestly.
And
which
I'm
is
just
they were
like
planning on doing that, right? They're planning on sending him to the
he,
Bulls.
he wanted to trade.
I
Yeah,
think the funniest comparison that I saw was if like if if like the management of One Direction traded Harry Styles to the Jonas Brothers for like Kevin Jonas. That's probably the funniest thing. Kevin Jonas is a talented guy. He's not Harry Styles, I would assume.
yeah,
So, it's just one of those things that are like really funny. And he's older than Harry Styles, like
yeah,
considerably, like almost 10 years. So it makes no sense. That was,
yeah,
I think, the most accurate like thing that I saw. It's so incredibly accurate.
yeah. I was thinking about that. Like, obviously, being a Hornets fan too. If the Hornets traded LaMelo, I'd be crushed.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're winning anything. We're not. I would just be sad about it because I like LaMelo. He's good. It wouldn't change anything about our team. They could trade him for like 5 first-round picks and no players, and it would literally. I would just be, a little sad about it. Uh, it would suck. But Luca was winning stuff.
He was.
Like he wasn't just a good player on a bad team. And you're sad to see him go like that. He was
He's not like,
winning.
yeah. I mean, I know you're kind of still a Hornets fan as well, but he's not like, LaMelo, where he's
No,
like,
yeah, yeah. Luca's not LaMelo at all. That's what I'm saying. It's like LaMelo would be enough. Like for me, I'd feel betrayed.
yeah,
I don't know if I could still be a Hornets fan if they just traded LaMelo like, this offseason.
yeah.
Even then, it would make so much more sense to trade LaMelo because realistically, he's the only player on that team. They're kind
Yeah.
of also in purgatory. They're like semi-purgatory because they have like good players, but
That's the
they
I wouldn't
they
say
don't
we're in
have
purgatory
enough.
purely
They don't have enough
because
for a great future.
I would say we're in purgatory though purely because we have like really good young talent.
Yeah,
Not to like win any championships or anything, but maybe to even, be consistent playing team. Like if Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball turn into what people expect them to be.
Who else?
Uh Mark Williams, but obviously
No,
with
no,
the
no, no, no,
physical.
no, no. Who else?
Trey Mann?
No, it's your guy. Who else?
Oh, Musa Diabate.
Musa
Bro, they
Diabate.
don't
well,
get
hey,
Musa
20 boards,
Diabate.
0 points. What a
Yeah,
guy!
no, dude, Musa Diabate. He's the like
The
second coming
modern
of Dennis
Dennis
Rodman.
Rodman.
Yeah,
So,
he's the second coming of Dennis Rodman, bro.
dude,
And he's
I
only 6'9". He's only in his second year. So much potential. He's like the
I could see
only
that.
NBA player I follow on Instagram. Musa Diabate,
we
bro.
we went to a Hornets game and he wouldn't. I think it was a Thunder game, and no, it wasn't a Thunder game. It was another game, and he wouldn't shut up.
Bucks.
It was a Bucks game. He would not shut up about Diabate. Every time he did, say, he's like, "What's
Dude, but
up,
Diabate had like
Diabate?"
11 rebounds and only played like maybe I think it was like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, I think a couple people wanted to strangle Jason that day, but
No, dude, every
uh,
time he did literally anything, I was Diabate.
yeah,
Dude, I love that guy.
He does. He loves him
He's a
more
goat.
than I think Diabate's mom loves him. Honestly,
Yeah, no, probably.
yeah.
Actually, speaking of, if the Hornets traded Diabate,
No, it'd
it's
be
over,
over.
man.
It'd be
It's
over.
over. They
Yeah.
make a package of like Brandon Miller, LaMelo, and Diabate. I'm moving.
Who the heck are they attaching all three of those players
Yo,
for?
sheesh.
Luka
Wait,
Doncic,
yo, for
apparently, it
real.
doesn't matter at this point. You can trade for
That's
anybody.
enough. That's enough. Hey,
Yeah. So yeah, trades. Very cool. Um Jason, I want to thank you for joining this episode of the two for one podcast. I only do it in the intro. I don't know why I started doing it. Yeah, thank you for
flip
you
the script,
joining.
baby.
I hope you enjoyed your time here, and you're definitely welcome back. So
Nice.
nice. You're not gonna say thank you.
No, just nice. If the Celtics win a championship or if the Hornets ever make the playoffs, I will be back.
You're not coming back if the Celtics win the
Sorry.
championship. Um,
No word.
Make a
especially
cameo, 30 seconds, just show up.
I all right, here's the thing. If the Thunder and the Celtics actually make the finals, but before the final starts, I will
Yeah.
invite you back and we'll talk about how we feel about the matchups.
Yeah. And if they win, if the Celtics win, I'm not invited.
Yeah,
No.
if the Thunder win, you're invited.
Oh, I'm down.
No.
Yeah, I'll show
Fair,
up.
fair, fair. I like that.
Okay, so Jordani, you have any final thoughts? You're good.
Shout out Rob Palinka, man. Shout out the city of LA, even though I hated it when I was over there. Shout out to LA. But they kind of got everything in sports.
And
Because
music.
if anyone knows anything about baseball, the Dodgers are like the 96 Bulls on steroids, and they just won a championship. So LA has everything sports related, but shout out the Lakers, bro.
Yeah, Lakers. All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode of the Two for One podcast, please make sure to subscribe and tell your friends or your enemies. We're trying to bring peace nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
We're on Spotify,
TLP.
we're on YouTube, and only those two platforms. So, thank you for watching. Leave a comment. You probably won't. No one will leave a comment, but
I'll leave a
yeah,
comment.
he'll leave a comment, and
Comment, like, download any bots that do likes automatically.
I'm not mad at that. You
Mhm.
know.
You should.
But until we see you guys again, which might be another like 4 months from now, I am Jamin, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.